I told you in my last school, I got into the school by singing a song. In this school, I had to sit like 5 exams, yeah? Now I've sat the exams and I failed the exams because the Nigerian curriculum over there is a lot more intense than it is in England. So when I was over there, when I was in Nigeria, I sat 5 exams and I failed them. When I failed them, I'm supposed to be going into year 8 now because I've done year 7 in Hertfordshire, so I'm supposed to be going into year 8. When I failed them, I was pulled back a year because in Nigeria they don't play. If you fail, they're not allowing you to go to the next stage or next class or next year. You have to repeat the year again. And I'm like, yo, this is mad different for me because I'm from England and that's not how they run in England. But in Nigeria, I'm here now. But anyway, when in Rome, you have to do what the Romans do. So yeah, boom. In Nigeria now, I've been moved back to year 7 again. So I've been made to do year 7 again. But the thing was that the opposite of repeating a year, yeah, in Nigeria, what they do, if you're super smart, they'll actually promote you a year. So you'll skip a year and get promoted. So imagine, I'm an English boy, I'm 12, I think I'm about 12, 13 years old, and I'm in a year with like a 9-year-old. I'm in the same year as a 9-year-old. Like this kid was super smart. I'm 13 coming to this guy saying, yo, let me, can you teach me this or can you teach me this? And it was mad like surreal because it was such a culture shock because it was such a different environment, a different setting. But, and yeah, it was mad strict, man. You know, in Nigeria, they don't play when it comes to discipline. You understand what I'm saying? It ain't like you can, in England, where you can, you know, just get detention and that. Nah, man, you get detention and you get, woo! It teaches you some different discipline. It's like army training out there, you know what I mean? It was intense, but it also builds like extreme character and extreme strength, like in your inner core. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, definitely, I'm 28 years old now, and I know I went to Nigeria like 15 years ago, probably about 15 years ago, if I'm correct. My maths is a bit off, but anyway, it was over 15 years ago, and the lessons that I learned in Nigeria still stick with me to today. I still have that strength till today. I was in that school for 2 years. So imagine I've gone from being in Hertfordshire to being like there's only 3 black people in the whole school to getting put in a village where I'm surrounded by all black people. And you'd think like, rah, I'd be in my zone and be comfortable, but it's different because like, the discrimination that I was facing in Nigeria was different because when you come from England, all the Nigerian kids kind of see you as soft. You know, there's a term that they call you, I think it's called Ajay Butter. All my Nigerians know what that is. Like, they call you soft, they call you like moist, weak. You know what I mean? So I was there for like 2 years. You know, there's like, it was pretty good, you know, I can't complain. It led to the story of building the man that I am today, so I can never complain, and I thank God for everything I've gone through, you understand what I'm saying? But I went there for a bit, and then after 2 years, I think something snapped in my head, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not going back. Like, so after I flew back to England, and they booked a ticket for me to go back to Nigeria for my 3rd year, and I was just like, yeah, mum, dad, like, I'm not on it. I'll be real, I'm not on it. Like, I'm not going back. I ain't going back. My mum was like, what do you mean you're not going back? Tickets booked. I just said, my independence kind of snapped in my head that day, and I just said to myself, something came in my head and I thought to myself, you know what's mad? They actually can't pick me up and put me on a plane. I have to walk with my legs and get on that plane. So if I decide to not walk with my legs and get on that plane, I'm not getting on the plane. So I just said, nah, man, burn that, man. I ain't getting on the plane, you understand what I'm saying? And if my mom's watching this, I'm sorry, but that is literally what snapped in my head at the age of 14 years old. But the thing is that I can't even say that that was a wise decision. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to like have any regrets on the past, but sometimes I always think to myself like, rah, if I stayed in Nigeria, maybe my life would be different right now. Do you know what I mean? But we'll get into that later on in the video. So, I had left Nigeria, came back to England, to the same neighborhood that I went to primary school in, and I had joined all the people in secondary school. So the people from my primary school were now in this secondary school, which is a public school. I've gone to this public school now, which was another arts academy, but it was a bit more like just subpar. It was just normal, innit? So I went there, public school, calm thing. And I just remember getting into bare beef. Do you know what I mean? At first, I remember the first day I came in and everybody's like, oh my God, that's Benjamin. Like, Benjamin's back. Like, oh my days, it's Benjamin, it's Benjamin. Oh my days, it's Benjamin. And like my old school rival from primary school that I used to have fights with was in that school now, and me and him had like some intense stare off, and we was looking at each other, and he was like, yeah, like, who's gonna be the king of the jungle? Like, who's gonna be the king of the school, innit? Because like being in Nigeria, getting flogged so much, it builds up this kind of anger in you, innit? And resentment. So you just, you know, you channel this inner rage, like, and you just have inner rage. But then because you're getting flogged by people like at the age of 12, you're not really retaliating or nothing, innit? So as well as it builds that inner rage, it also builds balance and discipline, because you might have rage, but you're not quick to like jump the gun. Instead, you're not jumping the gun. You understand what I'm saying? Because you've got discipline. It's mad to explain, man. It's like the rage is in there, but it's held. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, you can let it out. You can let it out. Like, you know what I mean? It's crazy. I only started learning that really when I got older, and really like thinking, yo, that discipline is what instilled this kind of like inner beast in me. Like now, but anyway, so yeah, man. Me and this kid had a stare off. We're looking at each other like, yo, who's gonna be king of the jungle, whatever. And in my head, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, rah, like, I'm not even trying to be king of the jungle. I'm just trying to live, like, you understand? And I remember at the time, all the kids were like, and this was still a predominantly white area at the time, innit? This is Havering. This was still it's a borough, London borough of Havering. And I'm talking about like back in like 2006. You know what I mean? Now it's a lot more multicultural, but back then it weren't multicultural. Like, you could be like walking down the road. I remember my uncle came from Nigeria, and he was wearing like his African gear, and like kids like used to like drive in their cars and throw eggs at him. It was mad racist back in the day. I'm not gonna lie, it was mad racist. But anyway, I don't want to talk about that. Anyway, so yeah, I was in that school from like year 10. I skipped year 9. Because when I came back from Nigeria, they were like, no, we don't do this pulling people back. So they boosted me back to the year that I'm supposed to be in with all the kids my age. So I'm in year 9 now. And yeah, this is where the problems kind of started, man. Because like all that rage that I built up, I didn't know how to channel it and control it at a young age. So I was getting into a bag of fights, innit? And like when people were racist and using racist comments and calling like, screaming at the N-word and that, I was always on some like martyr shit, innit? Like the other black boys in my school, they weren't really trying to defend themselves. You understand what I'm saying? It was always me that was like, you know what, like I'm backing this, I'm doing this, and I'm gonna get this done, and da. So like all the good kids, I call them good kids, all the good kids were kind of like just chilling. I'm not even gonna call them moist or pussies, because they were just different. They just didn't get into fights. They would be called the N-word and just kind of chill with it and not really do anything about it. But me, because I'm like just come from like fighting in Nigeria and all of that, I'm like bun that. Like ain't no one calling me that. You man can't even survive the things that I've survived over there. So you can't be talking to me like that. Do you understand? And that's where my ego was, innit? I have a lot of ego. I'm trying to control it now and settle it now, but that's where my ego came to play. The black kids in my school, they were like good boys, and they weren't really trying to back the beef. But there was like there was this other school that was near my school with some other black youths who were more on it. You understand what I'm saying? Involved in it, you know what I mean? They was riding out to like my school to come and back like my beef and things like that. So I started building a bond with them, and we didn't even go to the same school. So I found myself, you know, because I'm moving from school to school to school, I'm always the one to try and initiate friendships and stuff like that. And so when these lot came to come back my beef, I remember I initiated, you know, friendships with them, and we became very close friends. And yo, I'm still friends with some of them man to this day. Do you understand? Like I'm still friends with some of them man to this day. You understand? If you men are watching, you know who you are. I ended up getting into a lot of fights. I ended up backing people's beef. Like I was a rowdy kid, you know what I mean? I was a really rowdy kid. Like I remember like going to back one of my brethren's beef from a different school, and I got to the beef and I'm the one saying, yeah, like we gotta do this and we gotta, you know what I mean? I was yapping off, and then I end up getting my head bust. Like one of the white kids like just grabbed like a brick and just smacked me over the head, and my head was bust and I was bleeding and all of that, and I was like age 15, and like it was tough. I could have died. Like the doctor even told me like, yo, if he hit you any harder, you would have been dead. Like, yeah, the doctor told me I could have died, man. So I was lucky that, you know, I wasn't made unconscious or anything like that. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, when you're someone who's always, you know, looking for friends, you can end up, you know, you become very adaptable, and you can really blend in any crowd. Do you know what I mean? So I ended up like, you know, chilling with the good boys sometimes, but then to me the good boys were boring because they never backed their own beef, and I didn't really think they had any like, you know, backbone. So I didn't really want to chill with them, not knowing that they were just like cleverly like just sliding away from trouble because they didn't want to enter like that kind of situation, you know what I mean? Like in Nigeria, when it's beef, we just fight with our hands. It's just punch ups, you know what I mean? But in England, like, boy, man, them were getting stabbed up and killed and that. So a lot of the men that weren't back in beef just weren't trying to get stabbed up because their parents, everybody in England knew that, yo, people were getting stabbed or shanked or whatever. So boom, here's me trying to back people's beef. I got my head bust open, bleeding. Like my boy who actually went for the fight, I was the most injured one there. And I remember like when we went to go to this fight, yeah, it's like 5 black youths, us, me and like 4 other black boys. We're going to this beef, whatever. We got to the park, and when I tell you, there was over 50 white youths. Like, cause what I didn't realize is that, yo, this area was like super white. You understand what I'm saying? So there's 5 of us, and there's like 50 youths, and I remember 50 youths chased us. We got chased. This is after I got my head bust. I got my head bust. Everyone's like, oh my days, my man got his head bust. Let's kick out. Running. Run to my boy's yard, got cleaned up, got patched up, and like my mum was like, I told you. My mum was super tough at the time. I don't blame her because she was dealing with a lot, but she was very tough at the time, and you know, it all added to the discipline, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, so I got my head bust. Then I remember like trying to retaliate, and then, you know, circling into some different kind of bullshit, you know what I mean? Like end up getting arrested for possession of a weapon because like I wanted to retaliate on the guy that bust my head, and yeah, man, things started spiraling under control, and I was getting probation and all these kind of different things, and youth offenders and blah-de-blah, and my brethren started going to jail, and other brethren started going to jail, and I'm like, yo, we're 16 years old and things is happening real quick, you know what I mean?